I'm putting the #1 wide receiver out of high school on a 1-star college and seeing what happens. Meet Calvin Johnson II, a 6'5" monster from Georgia who also has 91 speed. And he actually committed to the Bulldogs to start his career. But they didn't even give him one snap as a freshman, so he decided to transfer to San Jose State to be the #1 option. He has a pretty hard season in front of him with teams like Syracuse, Stanford, and Texas on his schedule. And playing on Heisman mode is not going to help at all, but I want to see if he can carry the Spartans to a national championship. My first goal is to make the 6'7" receiver as fast as possible, but we're going to have to get 7 more skill points before we can do that, and I'm expecting him to show out in his first practice. The trick to having success with wide receiver zone attack is just catch a bunch of underneath balls and build up as much momentum as you can. And I'm not going to be surprised if they try to double team him, though that route was filthy. He is going to be extremely hard for players to stop, especially at his size. And I'm really hoping that he can lead San Jose State to a national championship. I have done a lot of these videos where I put a 5-star or a perfect player on a really bad team, and I've never been able to win it all, but I think this time will be different. He was just able to get a gold medal in his first practice, and I'm really hoping he can open up the season going off against Central Michigan. We have to play Texas after this matchup, which I can only assume won't go well, and that means we have very little room for error this season if we want to get into the playoffs. It looks like running in space, he's already able to get loose, but he's going to be caught, and if he's going to be anything like his father, he also needs to be able to catch some jump balls. But Emmett Brown could not hit the target. Now they're going with press coverage, and that's just disrespectful. If you're going to stop Calvin Johnson II, you're going to have to double team him. He is able to find any open routes. But then he got pulled off the field for 3rd down. We must have went with a run-heavy package. I just want this first drive to end with him catching a touchdown. And after getting kind of clamped up on 2nd down, it's going to be 3rd and 12 where he drops his first pass. I mean, it was bound to happen at some point. And I guess it's okay, we still got a field goal out of that. I was just hoping for a little bit more. The main reason he wanted to come to San Jose State was for this air raid attack. He almost had that one. And those types of catches are going to happen at some point. We beat the press there. The one time Emmett Brown gets it out quick, we did not have a chance to bring it in. But so far, I'm enjoying playing with him. We have clearly done a lot more offensively than Central Michigan. And the last time I played with a wide receiver in Road to Glory on this game, we started with a 1-star recruit. So this is a much different experience. I think if we average 200 yards a game, the Heisman Trophy is going to be very easy to get. But that should have been Calvin Johnson II's touchdown. Instead, it's going to have to come right here. This is just a warm-up for Texas next week. And I honestly like what I'm seeing so far out of Emmett Brown, but he needed to put that ball higher. We all know that quarterbacks in Road to Glory love to throw interceptions. He is yet to do it. But I am sure that his time will come. Beating them off of the line, they got a hand on the ball. We still have a pretty clear path to go up 17-0 right here. Double team is going to stop us. There's a flag. And I think that's going to be against us if you saw the shove at the end of that play. We might have run into a dude and just shoved him over for no reason, but that's his fault for being too little. On 3rd down, we can make up for that last throw. And we've run 3 routes inside, so now we're going to immediately cut to the outside, but it's dropped. I called for it a little bit too soon. You have to assume the wear and tear damage would pick up at some point, but that was beautiful. And if you hit the gritty after you score a touchdown, you're probably a good receiver. For Central Michigan's sake, I'm afraid that they're going to be out of this before halftime even. Though I've noticed that Emmett Brown isn't necessarily always accurate. A couple plays later, though, he's going to find another one of our teammates for our 3rd touchdown. And I was hoping after that I could just say it was over, but that isn't necessarily the case. We're going to drop this. If we can maintain more than a 3-possession lead, that's when I'll feel pretty confident. This one is put where it needs to be. And we have about a 30-second drive going on right now. It looks like they were running quarters coverage. I'm going to get up here, try to block for our running back, but I wasn't quick enough to it. We are going to beat the press. It is so easy to get around them with Calvin Johnson II. And just because he deserves to put up better stats in this game, we're going to motion him over, see if we can catch his 3rd touchdown, which he does. I don't think he's going to play much in the second half. By the 4th quarter, it is 31-10. We haven't scored yet. It's been more of a slow 3rd quarter, but we're trying to burn through time. And that was a great toe drag right there. Man-to-man coverage, we had routed up. But we are not going to get another touchdown in this game unless it comes on this play. I went for it. You can mark my words that we are going to have some insane aggressive catches before the end of this video. But there's also going to be a lot of passes like that one. It was extremely off target, and Central Michigan has done a good job of managing to stay in this one for a long time. But you can see that we're working it down in the end zone, and one more touchdown catch. would have been incredible. That's on me. I called for it a second too late. And I have tarnished the Emmett Brown perfect quarterback stat line. But maybe that was just to make sure that Calvin Johnson II won his first player of the game. He also has this unique ability called Best Friend, which just got upgraded. And what it does is every time he has a first down catch, it increases Emmett Brown's quarterback composure. Then when you look over at our physical abilities, I wish we could unlock some of these right now, but I can't even purchase Takeoff. Double Dip is actually really cheap. But we all know that I'm saving up for that speed upgrade, and then we'll probably focus on route running and catching. I have a feeling we'll rack up a ton of skill points in this video. My offensive coordinator has hit us up. Let's continue to build off our last win. You think you can rack up 40 yards after the catch and help us get a win against Texas? I don't know about the win, but I could basically guarantee the 40 receiving yards until I saw it was 40 yards after the catch. My brain did not process that the first time. We won National Offensive Player of the Week, and with a little bit of training, we're already going to have 9 skill points to work with. For taking on an opponent as good as the Longhorns, though, we're going to have to get ourselves some more reps in practice. And I've always enjoyed Rack Attack, though I'm not sure I'm going to with somebody as big as him. He's going to be coming on this jet touch pass. We're probably going to have to make a guy miss right here, and with his spin, we can still do that. Am I able to make a defender miss with something other than a spin, though? We're going to go for the hurdle. And that was not a pretty sight, but it's time for round 2. We're going to pull it off, and he fights his way in. I'm telling you right now, the build that we have with Calvin Johnson II is just incredible. That guy gave up on stopping him here, but we ended up being 215 points short of a gold medal. The good thing, though, is coach trust doesn't really mean much. All those other receivers are not going to take wide receiver 1 away from us. And it's time to play our most difficult opponent of the season on the road. My biggest concern with playing Texas is we also have to face Stanford and Syracuse after this. We can only lose 1 game this season and still make it to the playoffs. And this is basically a guaranteed loss, but we're getting fed immediately. We aren't really going to be able to audible in this game because Emmett Brown's going to get confused. He's already thrown an interception, and I wish he could have waited just a little bit longer to throw that ball. I was working on getting separation, though I will say Texas somehow managed to not score. And I was trying to run a curl route there, but our quarterback had already gotten the ball out first. I kind of set him up for failure on that play, though. We're going to need a huge 2nd and 18. It was a run. And I thought I had just gotten wide open down the field. I was so excited. We're open right here, though. We found space in between the zones. We weren't able to get like any yards after the catch, though. That was one of our main goals in this game. And if we can control most of the clock, maybe we can keep up with Texas. I just know that most of the time, Arch Manning is probably going to be eager to respond. And after making that play, we've gotten pulled. It was for a quick breather, though. We're going to try to run a comeback route down into the end zone and be open. We just have to keep our feet in. And I'm the player in Road to Glory, so I'm not going to be able to challenge this. We have to watch the replay to see if it was a catch. And before we slow it down, whether or not it was, this kid celebrating like he did anything there is such a cornerback move. After taking another look at it, it really depends on the angle. It looks like his foot is just touching the white line right there. And I'm afraid that is going to come back to haunt us in this game because we're not going to get the 3rd and 8 unless we fought for it. We're still going to go up by 3 points. But we could have had a touchdown, and is something wrong with Arch Manning? For whatever reason, Texas still hasn't scored. You know what, though? This gives me hope for us to actually win a championship with San Jose State. And I kind of like that my teammates are also getting involved in this game. It is not a one-man show. We need that if we're going to be able to pull this one off. We are wide open, but the throw's off target. And I am just looking for one time where we can actually beat the press. It's not happened yet. Coach thinks the best thing we could do on 3rd and 3 is run a halfback draw, so I've motioned myself over to try and help with the blocking. And that's the one thing I will say about playing for San Jose State. I feel like I make a difference on the runs. Other playbooks don't set you up as a receiver to do that. We are going to try and just call for it immediately. But Emmett Brown had other plans. It is now 3rd and 8. I want to get us this first down. If we could just finish this drive with a touchdown, we'd have a 2-possession lead on the road at Texas. And you best believe that I am going to be running down clock at the end of this half, though I didn't even call for it there. That is on me still for cutting to the outside. I don't know why I second guessed the in route. That's a stupid decision to make. I literally couldn't have done anything worse there, and we're just gonna have to live with it. Normally on the quick slants plays, we don't get hit, so I just assumed I'd go for a big route. And we are so fortunate that this game is just 3-3 at the moment. I'm going for the jump ball. It is about time that we make an aggressive catch. Hang on, I might be able to redeem myself after that interception. If we can end the first half the right way, we're gonna be fine. And the best way to do that would be scoring a touchdown touchdown. It's man-to-man coverage. We just have to outrun this kid and truck through one more. That was such a good hit on the 1 yard line though. Now they're going with man-to-man coverage. You can't keep up. And before you type about how bad the interception I caused was, at least we responded. We're actually playing better defensively against Texas than we did Central Michigan. We also got a press animation. We were able to beat the press, so now they have to respect us deep, but we'll take some underneath routes too. I'm having a really hard time running curls on this game. I might have to assign that route to myself first. But with the stadium pulse being as loud as it is, I'm not able to do that, and we're inside the 10. This is looking really good for us at the moment. Man-to-man coverage. We're going to get open somehow, at least making the open space for us to catch the touchdown. And this cannot be real. Texas still only has 3 points. I don't understand why they're struggling so bad. That's a pick. I could just tell without even seeing the ball on the screen. I know how the game reacts, which means Emmett Brown is the reason that it is back to being a 7-point game. But if we have a good drive, it won't matter. This might actually be the road to glory where I win a championship. And I can say that because our defense has held it down. We do have a pretty big 3rd and 8 coming up right here, though. I was not calling for it. And with that stop, they might just tie things up. Sure enough, it is now 17-all. I was trying to get the ball right there, but Emmett Brown threw towards the triple coverage, and we are running it here where I should have had a better block. That isn't a first. This is a hard spot to be in because I wish we were running the ball here, but instead we decided to throw it. And we could still settle for a field goal to win this one, though I don't know where that one went. If they're running backed off man-to-man coverage, I mean, we're having these slants open all day. That'll work. But here's the thing. We still need to pick up one more first down or it won't matter. Texas is going to make sure they use all their timeouts. And we're at the 34-yard line. I don't even know if our kicker can hit from here. He probably can from this range. I would much prefer if we just picked up this 3rd and 6 though. I ran the slant. It really is not there. And of course they marked it as a 4th and 1. I wasn't even calling for the ball either, but if I scroll down here, you're going to see the field goal 38-yarder was blocked. And then Texas came out in overtime and they did absolutely nothing besides kick a field goal on their first drive. I mean, I feel like we've been given so many chances to win this game that we just have to take advantage of it. We're going to get into the end zone right here. And Calvin Johnson II has helped us take down Texas. I'm going to be honest, that feels amazing. I thought I was going to blow that game because I did have multiple mistakes. But no, we went for almost 300 receiving yards and I think we completed our challenge. Lauren Walker, the offensive coordinator, says you are a yards after catch machine and reached the end zone multiple times. Incredible. Great work. We have a coach trust increase. But nothing could have prepared me for our first NIL offer from Walker's Jiu-Jitsu. He wants to give us 6 weeks of free lessons. It's going to give us +5 release and all it's going to cost is 2 energy up front. We're going to do it. And if we enjoy the boosted release, I might focus on increasing that instead of our speed. I really just want to have some options. We have enough to train to get 1 more skill point and then fully recover, which puts us at 12 of the 13 skill points needed at the moment. If we did ever want to increase our release, that would have to come in the route running tree. But I could also see us going for some abilities like double dip and take off. We have endless options right now, but before we get to conference play, we still have to play on the road at Stanford. We have to play on the road at Syracuse. And I know the Cardinal are nothing compared to what they were 10 years ago, but they're our rivals. They're still going to give us a tough game. These 2 universities are just 30 minutes away from each other. They're super close. But before we finish this video, we all love watching sports in person, which is why I have the perfect hookup for you, SeatGeek, today's video sponsor. Everyone can use my code Bordeaux10 and get 10% off any tickets on SeatGeek, whether you're a new customer or not, and they can be used for anything: sports, festivals, concerts, you name it, they probably have it. For example, I just got out to a hockey game using them. And if you aren't personally into hockey, we still have spring training games for college football, and then there's both college basketball and NBA games going on. Now, SeatGeek rates on a scale from 1 to 10, so look for the green dots. Green means good and red means bad. But more importantly, no matter how many times you've bought tickets using SeatGeek before, code Bordeaux10 is going to get you 10% off your next order. That means you need to take out your phone, open up the SeatGeek app, and add code Bordeaux10 to your account. What are you waiting for? This offer is only available for a limited time. And now we can get back to the rest of this video. The Bay Area matchup started with them going up 3-0. I'm not seeing that boost to our release making a difference so far. But I like the way that Emmett Brown thinks. He is trying to fit it into those tight windows to make a play, and we just snuck right by number 6. If we can outrun 48, which is a crazy number for a safety, we're in the end zone. And I just think 48's an ugly number. If you wear that in football, I apologize. I just feel like if I came up with a list of numbers that have the least amount of swag, that would be in the top 5. And Stanford has been destroying our defense so far in this game, so we're going to have to score more than we did against Texas. Kind of a crazy thing to say, but they already have 10 points at the end of the first quarter. There's the dancing tree. And Elijah Brown has has more passing yards than Emmett Brown. It's the battle of the Browns. I think I can say that. We're not going to get this pass. And on 2nd and 10, I'm going to run a slant. I just want to get us an underneath catch. But one of my teammates had the exact same idea, and he got absolutely pounded. This is going to be a perfect play. Was it supposed to go that way? Absolutely not. Should that ball have been intercepted? Probably so. What's the flag? It's going to be holding. We have yet to see a penalty that wasn't against us until now. Or it's going to be for an illegal man downfield, which is even weirder. I really need to start putting the routes on the field that I plan on running because that's on me. The computer gets confused. I think that's why they turn the ball over as much as they do. And so now you can see pre-play exactly what I want to run. We're going to cut to the sideline, but we aren't getting it. That was too much effort pre-play though. I'm just going to keep on running wherever I want to. It can work most of the time. And maybe in like a big matchup, if it's an important play, I'll put the actual route out there. If you've seen me use a receiver before, I basically have 3 routes I go with. I do an outside route like this, or I go to the inside. And every so often I'll run a streak. Outside of that, maybe I'll hit him with a zig every so often, but that should have been picked. I thought it was man-to-man. I was calling for it no matter what. I'm greedy. I want the touchdown. That's why we're calling for it in the back of the end zone. Could you at least like lob it up? You have a 6'5" receiver. All you have to do is just put that up in the air. I'll catch it. But no, Emmett Brown is making things hard for us. We are down by 13 points. And what did I say? It wasn't just Texas we had to worry about. We also had some other tougher matchups on our schedule. Fortunately, some other receivers on our team have actually started to make some plays for us. I found space behind that cover too. And we're just going to run a slant, which should be able to take us in as long as I truck through a couple dudes. You know what? I'm going to do the smart thing here. We're just going to motion ourselves over and try to run this ball in. We don't need to get the touchdown ourselves. But that's what happens whenever I'm not greedy. It looks like they're going to be able to stop us here as well. So we're going to have to settle for 3. Just an absolutely horrendous first half on our part at least. We are in a lot of trouble. I felt like we could have had that one. And I'm going to have to make up for it on 3rd and 10, which I have done. I was able to beat the press, and I was also able to run around to the ball to where they couldn't get a hand on it. There is no way he catches us. 6'5", 237 pounds moving that quick. He's going to be hard to bring down. But do you know what Stanford did? They said, we watched the tape against Texas. There's a lot of ways for us to beat your defense. And that means we are back down by 2 possessions. Right here, we could have had a chance to get free. But instead, they just went with the slant. I'm having to block as we're running on 3rd and 1. And with this much time left, we probably have the chance to stop them maybe once or twice more in this game. But the pressure is definitely building for us to score a touchdown on basically everything from here on out. I do not want another overtime matchup. I feel like we got extremely lucky against Texas. And that is back-to-back drops that are our fault. I don't know why they went in our direction on 3rd down too. I wasn't even calling for it, but we couldn't hold on. It's extremely fortunate our defense forced one of the fastest 3-and-outs they've ever had. And there you go. I mixed in a different route to the route tree. That can't be a secure catch. It just can't be. That's a touchdown right there. There's a fumble on the play, and we're starting the 4th quarter in a bad spot. Emmett Brown's actually thrown for more yards. It's just those turnovers, one of them which I'm responsible for since I wanted to catch a jump ball in the end zone. That is the reason we're losing to Stanford, but we could get in here. What did I say, though? We don't have many chances to come back, and sure enough, they were able to immediately score. And that puts us in an extremely tough spot. I'm going to try to split the zones, which we're going to be able to do. They're bringing us down, but there is still some hope. There's 3 minutes left on the clock. And what are you doing, Emmett Brown? I think we can take a lot away from this game. I think we've been able to learn a lot of lessons. And one of those is I'm just not going to be able to mess around. I should have never called for some of the balls that I did. But surprisingly, there is still a little bit of hope since we have all 3 of our timeouts left. I don't know why it took this long for our defense to really start making plays for us, but they have, and that's a perfect pass. So I got us down to the 11-yard line, and then they took me out for a play, which caused the clock to run quite a bit. We're going to get in though. Our defense has a chance to get us stop for us. But do I think that'll happen? Absolutely not. The onside kick is going to go to Stanford, and then they're just going to run out basically all of the time. So by the time that we were returning the punt, we never had a chance to take a snap. Would it have been absolute cinema if we had a chance at a Hail Mary and then I went down the field and caught it with Calvin Johnson II? Absolutely. But instead, you're just going to see we had 402 receiving yards, which was not enough for us to get a win, and now I have a big test coming up. I'm actually going to study a lot so I don't have to worry about GPA stuff, and that works works out great for us because studying for the midterm and final exam can cost a lot of energy. We're left with a 3.8 GPA, and I can put those points in the better spots now, like training and then making sure we're recovered for our matchup. And before I get into our final non-conference game, I think you all know what time it is. I told you all I wanted to save up skill points so we could upgrade our quickness. That is going to take us to 97 speed, 99 excel. And if you thought it was hard for other teams to stop us in previous weeks, imagine how the Orange are about to feel. We get to play in a dome, which should be an interesting experience. Every game has been outside so far. And I don't love this drive starting on the 7-yard line, but I'm looking to just gash teams deep. I am ready to try and beat their cornerbacks in a sprint, seeing if we're able to come up with anything massive. But if we want to move the chains, maybe we should keep things simple. A slant will do that, and I thought our teammate was about to get in the way. Now, I know they didn't just put this cornerback out there on an island, as you can see they did. But if they would have, I'm running straight at him, making him make a decision, and then cutting to the sideline. At first, it wasn't ruled a catch, but after review, it should be. And sure enough, it was. I don't know, with 97 speed, I just feel so much more confident. I feel like I was able to take away a lot of lessons from that loss to Stanford, though they got to that ball. And I would really like if at some point in Calvin Johnson II's career, we can make plays like that. What a throw, though, from Emmett Brown right there. I was hoping that their corner would try and stop us. We were able to get open. And we moved around a little bit pre-play just to throw him off. I didn't want him to have any help. I didn't want him to have zone coverage. If we get a deep pass like this, can we get it? I mean, the 97 speed really hasn't been that effective so far. But I feel like it's just because teams are respecting us. They're backing up and they're not pressing. We might need to watch this play back, though. Not because I made a good block attempt, because I just took out my teammate, RKO style. And that is just amazing. I don't know how I missed the block that bad, but I want to get an aggressive catch going. We still haven't. Maybe until we can max out our catching stat, I shouldn't call for balls in those spots. And just as the drive gets closer to the end zone, I'm taken out. I would have been upset if I missed out on getting a touchdown catch, but they put me back out there. And it is now 3rd and goal from the 10. I'm going to have to go for that little open space. Emmett Brown just has to be a bit more patient. We're going to be up by 10. And then Syracuse drove all the way down to our 13-yard line, but they couldn't get anything out of it. That pass is so far down the field, and we had a chance to get to it. I thought it was for another receiver because I didn't even call for the ball. I mean, he just chucked that one up, and he did the same thing here. Is he playing jackpot in a college football game? Genuinely, what is Emmett Brown doing right now? It feels like he's trying to hit the ceiling of the dome. That one actually came really close. And he's going to be the reason that we can't go up 17-0, though right here is where I needed him to throw it over the top of the defense. That one was not just sky high. We're going to go up 17-0. It was about time that he delivered us a good throw. I mean, he had just been chucking it up. And I feel like our experience against Stanford and then Texas too has really given us what we need to actually beat teams and make a good run. If we can win these games by a lot, it should boost up our ranking. And I feel like I can trust going 11-1 in the Mountain West Conference and making the playoffs. Boise State did it this past year. That just makes our biggest obstacle throughout the rest of the regular season, not losing to anybody else. And there's only 6 seconds left in the half. This might be the final play. I'm hoping that he throws it up somewhere, but it's really hard to tell what even happened. Apparently, we got to the 37-yard line, but then we missed the kick. And do you know what would seal this one against Syracuse? Just one successful drive. That's right. I can confidently predict going up 31-7 in the 3rd quarter would be enough for us. And I actually like that some of our other teammates are getting open so we don't get the ball every play. Eventually, we keep showing out. We should be double teamed quite a bit. And if we want to keep on scoring a lot of points, we're going to have other guys making plays. I do wish there was a way for the camera to pan out to whoever's catching the ball though, because it's making it really hard to tell. And we've just run that cornerback over the last 2 plays. And I just thought it was going to be man-to-man coverage. We're chasing him down. That's what I get for spam calling for the ball right off of the line before looking. And normally whenever I play as a wide receiver, I spend the entire video complaining about our quarterback. But this time around, I feel like I just have to take responsibility. We are extremely fortunate. Our defense didn't give up any points to Syracuse there, though that's a 3rd interception from Emmett Brown. And that is back-to-back plays that we have been a part of where he's turned it over. We might not be safe with any lead. Just let me beat the press and let's take it all back. I think we can get to this ball first, though we are going to drop it. And I'm going to need him to put that a little bit harder. If this is a hard pass, we can run for a touchdown, but there's a flag. It's going to come back off of something dumb. I just know it is. Sure enough, there's the walk of shame, the jog of shame. It's a holding penalty. And on 2nd and 20, a pretty big 2nd and 20, keep in mind, we don't have anything. I can't believe it. Syracuse is going to have a chance to actually tie things up That was a bad pass, and let's just trust our defense. Well, it is 24-all with 3.5 minutes left in this game. I was just a decoy on that one, but we can keep it that way as long as we're not turning the ball over. This is genuinely such a bad choke. We had the ball in the red zone, up 17, and at least we were able to get open there. We're going to keep on catching these underneath, but there it is. We're not going to be in for the next play. However, it worked out this time. By the next time we're out there on the field, it's a 1st and goal, and we might need to catch the touchdown ourselves. I just didn't trust our team to run it in. Now it's on our defense to hold the orange. And I want you all to all breathe a sigh of relief with me. We have done it. We have beaten Syracuse. We probably shouldn't have, but it feels good to know that we're not going to choke. Did the 97 speed help us much more? I can't say it did, but with our 5 skill points to spend, we could put it into catching, which we know would make an immediate impact, but we could also unlock double dip since I probably run a lot of double moves unintentionally. And then I could also purchase takeoff, which gives us a quicker release off the line whenever we're not pressed. As we head into conference play, I decided abilities were more important for us to pick up than getting some more stats. And there's already 2 teams in our conference inside the top 25, but we're not going to be there for a while. I would also just appreciate if we could get a home game again. We haven't played there since week 1, and I miss our home stadium, but at least Utah State's 1-4. They shouldn't be too difficult. We got through the hardest part of our schedule before Mountain West play, and we went 3-1, which is what I was hoping for. It's just the fact that we can't lose a single conference game or else we're in a lot of trouble. I'm also surprised that we don't have UNLV or Boise State on our schedule. I can't believe how open we were able to get right here, but that works out. We are already up 7-0. Defensively, we did not play very well though. We just gave up a touchdown, and a terrible throw is going to make it 3rd and 10. Where I don't know where he was throwing. Emmett Brown has his moments where he's great and then awful. And sure enough, just a second later, it is 14-7. We're trailing by 7. I'd really prefer if we could just outrun everybody on the field right here and get ourselves another touchdown. That little post route might actually be our key to having success. And by the time we get it back, look who made a stop. It was our defense. But what are we doing, Emmett Brown? That's why I complain. He just decided to give that one to them. I mean, there was no one that could have caught it. And I feel very fortunate that they only got a field goal out of that mistake. We're going to catch the wide receiver screen and almost get out of there. That was a nice change of pace. We're also taking off and seeing if he can put it where it needs to be. It was certainly a long shot, but I think it was worth it. I might have been able to sneak by the safeties right here, so we just went back to beating the cover 3, finding that space. That is 3 huge touchdowns against Utah State, nothing from close up. And normally, getting that in the first half, you would feel extremely confident in your team's chances. We're going to have another breakaway play. These safeties and corners must just be slow. Ours can't be much better, though. We have combined for 52 points in the first half, and I think we could even get more. Funny enough, Emmett Brown's turnover, where he just gave it to them inside the red zone, has led to the least amount of points in this game. That is what I wanted whenever we upgraded our speed. 35 points as a team in the first half. And to start the third quarter, I'm calling for some jump balls. Look at the size difference. I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable now. This might be our chance to start making some plays. But I guess we're only up by 11 points, so we'll just come underneath. What I really wanted here was the lineup out of the slot so I could try and beat their safeties over the top. But I think that only would have been possible with 99 speed, and right here, I can't make a block in time. It is very surprising how disrespectful they are with some of their pressing. That was meant for my teammate. That's why I ran away from the ball. But he didn't turn around to catch it, so Emmett Brown, there you go. Another turnover to your stat line. Apparently, Utah State's quarterback has that same gift, though, because they went down to the 6-yard line before losing it. And as we go into the fourth quarter, up by 11, and with the ball, we're feeling a lot better. The spots have been a bit frustrating. It's 3rd and inches. And I'd call fullback dive if I could control the plays, but we just have to hope that the blocks hold. At least it's looking like another one that we should close out. I do not understand why these balls have to be thrown so high, but this is a glitch that needs to be fixed, because if that happens in an important matchup, I'm going to be so frustrated. Unless we can find a way to catch those passes, I just don't see the benefit of them. I'm really hoping to make more than a few yard gain here. But if you've noticed the clock, this drive started at the very beginning of the fourth quarter, and now we're over halfway through it while we can still keep the ball. This has been the perfect example of how to close out a game. That was my assignment. But it's all good. I want to go for a touchdown on 3rd and 8, and I think they thought they were run committed. Great way to end it, though. We just added a touchdown onto the stat line. And we have opened up Mountain West Conference play with a win, but I think that was expected. 340 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns. This looks like a quarterback stat line. line. And maybe with our best friend ability upgrading, Emmett Brown will stop throwing as many interceptions. If we want to max it out though, get it up to platinum, we have to catch 9 more receiving touchdowns. And that should come in just a couple of weeks. We are atop the Heisman watch list, and I don't think it's going to change. I really messed up before our next game though. I thought we had 6 energy. We only had 5, so I wasn't able to heal myself. And that means we're going into this one against the Aztecs with -8 speed. This is how you get injured, maybe out for the rest of the season, and all I was trying to do was get us some more skill points so we could keep on upgrading ourselves, which was a super costly mistake. Now we're going to be a lot slower in this matchup. I could have taken that for a touchdown. We're down to like 87, 88 speed. It is like I just started my career. And I see an opportunity to beat the press deep, but it's not going to matter because we're tired. And this ball is also just being thrown extremely high in the air. This is probably going to be one of the toughest games that we have to play in the next few weeks. And it's all because of the wear and tear issue. Fortunately, they did nothing after that drive was bad for us. I'm going to try to help block. And it almost looks like the longer I'm off the field, the more wear and tear damage I recover. We now have a green bar under ourselves. That's going to be short. But this could be a good thing. By the next time I'm going out there, it says I am only down -1 speed. And now using Calvin Johnson the second feels a little bit more like he did last week, though that wasn't it. I feel like we have almost no catches in this first quarter besides the short passes, but reaching the end of it gives us more time to recover. Coming out on the other side of it, we have a fully green bar underneath us. That is a great sign, though we're stuck. And I was probably doing too much there. We didn't give Emmett Brown any options, making it a 3rd and 19 where I'm gonna cut across the middle, and he went somewhere else. It's gonna be another drive where we don't score, but all of our wear and tear effects have just disappeared. There's literally no excuses now. We should be able to get some touchdowns. Emmett Brown saw the route, he saw it developing, and he just put that exactly where it needed to be. I was gonna wait at least another second before I called for it, but maybe it is a good thing that he pre-fires some of his passes. I don't know what he did here. What I do know is San Diego State scored the second that we scored a touchdown. And that means that we are in for another competitive game, as that's going to be a first down. With a minute and a half left in this second quarter, I'm really hoping that we can just finish it with a touchdown. And there was so much space right there. Man-to-man coverage is not going to work against us, but we still need to get a little bit more, and I think I just ran straight into an interception. We got back to the ball. There was a flag, though, and it's going to be against San Diego State. For whatever reason, they called for unnecessary roughness. If this is not zone coverage, that would have been a touchdown, but I was going to call for it, and I still called for it when it was going to be an interception. I genuinely am having a stinker. This whole career so far has not been my best moments. But at least we're fortunate enough, never mind. If this is going to be the road to glory that I'm able to win a championship in the first year, I'm going to have to turn things around. No more bad moments, no more terrible call for the balls. This is man-to-man, we're going to go to the 5. My plan down here is simple as well. I'm going to try to run a zig route. If it's there, I'm going to call for it. If it's not there, I was also going to call for it. And I got to stop being so greedy. I just don't want our quarterback to do something dumb like that. What are we doing? I'm hitting notes I haven't hit since pre-puberty because of him. And this is genuinely just an embarrassment of a game. How are we still tied? I just know that if we get down to the 5-yard line again, he's going to do something dumb. And I'm afraid we're not going to be fast enough to beat the press right here, but I'm still going to try to do it. Someone else is going to have to get us the first down. The wear and tear damage has come back out of nowhere. We weren't dealing with it much, but by this point, it should be here to stay. And please, give us the lead. Since we scored, I am sure that San Diego State is going to magically score a touchdown as well. But I will say our wear and tear impacts are very generous. There's nothing to speed anymore. And look at that. The Aztecs offense must just be atrocious, though ours isn't much better. Emmett Brown turns it over. I really don't even know what to think at this point. It is 14-all. That was not a great call for the ball. But I think you all can see what I was going for there. At least we're going to beat the press on the next play, and we're going to get right by their safety, so we're going back up by 7 points. Can we maintain this? It really doesn't matter that we have the ball again. We saw that that just led to an interception, though I assumed that they were in a cover 2, and I guessed it correctly. It might have even been a cover 3, but the cornerback broke down for a second, and he didn't guard us. And he went back to his flat zone, which opened that up. You know what? Give me a jump ball. We're having our moment. This one was painful to get through, but I feel like we're okay in the final 4 minutes. And our stats might not look as good as they have recently, but they'll probably still be respectable. I really don't have a clue how many many yards we have, if we keep beating the press like this, it's going to be easy. And you know what? It might be worth it for us to upgrade our release. The NIL deal that's given us a +5 to it at the moment is going to run out very soon, probably in the next couple of games. And we went for 422 yards and 5 touchdowns. I don't know how I missed this. I guess I thought we struggled a lot more than we did. And sure enough, like I predicted, our release just went down, but we're going to spend some skill points getting it up there. It's now at an 86, and we're also going to increase our hands. We're going to have 89 catching. With that one final skill point, I think we can still get double dip up to silver. That's what we're going to purchase. And do you know how long I've been waiting to say that we're about to have home games? It's 3 straight home games before we have to go back to playing on the road for a couple of them. But I'm feeling pretty good about our schedule, except the fact that both Boise State and UNLV are not on it, so we might not even be able to beat them and get our spot in the conference championship. If they at least have to play each other, though, one of those teams will have to lose. And our next opponent, Nevada, has only won 1 game all season. Those are the types of teams, though, that sometimes you have to be the most worried about. They can sneak up on you. They can somehow shock you into getting a win. And that's why we'll be taking this very first drive seriously. Why are we putting it into tight windows already? Emmett Brown has eyes on one man, and that man is Calvin Johnson II, except for when we actually get open. Then he decides not to throw it our way, but we're still getting a first down. I'm hoping with a little bit of play action mixed in, the defense falls for it. And it worked on the defensive backs, but it did not work on the defensive line because I had found the space to split. We just needed Emmett Brown to get some more time back there in the pocket. On third down, I'm calling for the slant because I trusted myself to get it. And what did I say? This first drive against them is extremely important. After being taken off the field for second down, though, it is 3rd and 14, and we are going to beat the press with our new release stat. It is much higher than it ever was because paired with it is 91 deep route running, and that should allow us to get away with some great stuff. I almost think that if we're just on a streak, then we should be getting those deep route running benefits. Here, they're pretty much keeping up with us. But you saw 3 guys all trying to keep up with us. When they had their eyes on us, it left other players open. After that catch, though, we have been taken out. And I never know if that's going to result in a touchdown or not. I'm going for the back of the end zone, though. Come on. Emmett Brown, I know you're a better quarterback than that. This is going to be a first. And I wonder how we'll start the second quarter. At the moment, they have 0 yards of offense. So we are in full domination mode, though we still have to score the touchdown. And once again, the run on the goal line isn't going to work, so we're just going to have to call for it. This is the worst spot to be in, though I actually like the route that they gave me right here. It's an interception. And what did we expect out of Emmett Brown by now? I think it's crazy to plant that on our field, though, knowing that they have 0 yards of offense. And we forced a 3 and out, so they might still have 0 yards of offense. We are going to dominate them either way. The turnover on the goal line from Emmett Brown has just delayed the inevitable. I can't get in. And I don't like the spot it puts us in because we're not going to run it in either. But maybe if they go with man-to-man coverage here, which they do, our other receiver will get open, which he did. I have seen that route work before. It's his time to shine. But as Calvin Johnson II was sitting on the sideline where our defense gave up 7 points to Nevada, I was taking a look around our stadium, and I have to admit, it is pretty small since there is no stands besides the press boxes on this side of the field. There really aren't many FBS Division I teams where that's the case. I know Miami, Ohio has a similar situation. They have tall stands on one side. And what that means is our home field advantage is just not going to be as strong. We're trying to go deep with a different receiver who sure enough made a great catch. Maybe Jabari Bates can get open here as well, so we don't have to worry about us getting a touchdown, but we did. And that's all that we need in the red zone, man-to-man coverage. To end the first half, though, Nevada scored 7 points, and then they also started the third quarter with a touchdown, so it is 21-all. I'm sure you all weren't expecting that. I was, though. I said these teams with 1 losses always put up the best fight for no reason at all. And what was the point of upgrading our catching? This is going to be a battle. That's why I was so worried about the rest of the year and us never losing again, because that's what we need to get to the playoffs, but we're going to have a lot of matches like this. I would just really appreciate if they kept the coverage the way that it was, because I knew I was Dustin number 10. He did not have the proper alignment to stop us, and we've taken our lead back against the Wolfpack. I have to wonder, if we never got up to 97 speed, what would have happened with us at San Jose State? There would have definitely been other games that we didn't win like this one, because it just makes everything easier. And that is back-to-back massive touchdowns. It really isn't doing that much for us, though. They have scored 28 points versus us. I was open. And that was exactly the look that we were going for right there. There's still 5 minutes left in this this game. I mean, that is plenty of time for them to catch up. I don't think this pass is going to work out for us. But we finally caught one of those balls that are so sky high that they can barely even track it with the camera. And that pass was in the air for so long, the instant replay just ended before they saw the actual catch. We're also in my least favorite spot on the field. They have me out there as a blocker, not a receiver for this play. And I'm just really hoping that we are able to get into the end zone, which we did with an RPO. That might actually be the key to our success down there. And with our defense getting a stop for us, this game's gonna be over, except we just threw an interception. I'm telling you right now, Emmett Brown had a lot of faults that were on me at first. But now he's shown us who he really is, the quarterback that has made this a manageable game. There is no world where they should have it within 7, but I knew they were gonna be aggressive to stop the run, so we can still seal it. And I know for a fact this is already our best stat line yet, but I want to add on another touchdown. We have to at least try and make it look like it was a blowout, even if we know the truth that it was not. And look at this final stat line, 480 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns. Everybody wants to know, what is the key to San Jose State's success? And normally I would credit my teammates or the coaches, maybe even the fans, to make other people feel good, but it's only right that we take all the credit this time. All that did was increase our brand, which is something I never worry about. And there it is, the best friend ability has been upgraded to platinum. When it comes to the conference standings though, we are surprisingly still in a 4-way tie with Boise State, Fresno State, and UNLV. Plus, if we take a look at the coaches poll, not only are we not in the top 25, but we're not even receiving votes. We need to make a name for ourselves, and I feel like against 6-1 Fresno State could not be a better chance. It's another rivalry, which is why going into this one, we're going to bring out the blackout jerseys for the very first time. That better show that we mean business in this one. Cover 2 immediately means we're going to toast them deep, and their safety was clueless. He had no idea that I was just going for that. Scoring a touchdown on the second play of the game is a great way to open things up. But we have a long one ahead of us. We know that last week against Nevada, they were able to come back. And that's why I won't feel comfortable until the clock hits 0 on a 3rd and 16. If the blocks lined up better, we might have been able to pick this up. But unfortunately, I think we were about a yard short. And it's all good. Our defense is playing pretty well so far. Cover 2, once again, that pass was a little off. I am surprised the refs did not review it. I guess that's the benefit of having a home field advantage. And somebody tell Emmitt Smith that he does not need to put that much on the ball. I just had back-to-back good blocks, by the way. Being the best receiver in the country isn't always about just yards and touchdowns. We got pressed there. But it's all good. As the first quarter approaches an end, we're going to be able to go to our flat. I'm trying to get up there to help. And we have a big play call coming up. It's actually going to be an RPO where I am supposed to block, but my block wasn't the best. There's a flag. And I know what they're going to hit me for already. Stop celebrating. It's going to be a block in the back. I feel like the ref was just waiting to throw that out there. On 3rd down, that was a risky pass. And it wasn't going to work, so we're kicking our 3. We have really lucked out defensively though. I don't know how to feel about it, especially since they're literally just trying to give them the ball. But there was a flag, so we're going to get 15 yards. Anyway, whenever our defense has played this well from the start, we know that they're going to have a moment at some point that's not as solid. That was a good pass. Even if it wasn't to me, I have to give it credit, and we can't run it in. It's genuinely so frustrating being this close to the end zone, but I will take that. You know what? Maybe Emmett Brown has had some questionable throws, but I feel like he's also having a solid game compared to some of his others. And on the first play on the other side of the 2-minute timeout, I thought I was going to get that ball. I didn't call for it. We just normally get it even when I don't, but I did call it in this situation. I knew it was man-to-man. And we might have put Fresno State away before the start of the 3rd quarter. I genuinely have no idea how they're sitting at 6-1. I mean, we could make this 31-0 if that pass was on target. And we're seeing a different side of Emmett Brown. It's the black jerseys. We might even be able to get some more touchdowns as they're just guarding Calvin Johnson II foolishly. He gets another. And after that, coach decided it was best if the starter sat out the 4th quarter. We didn't just win the Valley Cup, we obliterated Fresno State. And it was actually one of the worst stat lines Calvin Johnson II's had. It was the first time he had single-digit catches. It's the lowest amount of receiving yards he's ever had, but the receiving touchdowns were double what happened against Texas. And I know I said I wanted to focus on studying to make sure I stay on the field, but this time around, I'm gonna take that risk. In a perfect world, we can keep on spending our energy to get some more skill points, while also staying near the top of the Mountain West Conference standings. We just need Boise State or UNLV to lose a game. That's really all it comes down to. We don't have either of them on our schedule, but we know these one-loss teams are probably going to give us a much bigger fight than they should. And before we go back to playing on the road, we get to enjoy one more home game against the Rams. We actually have another jersey combo that we can use. They have some gray jerseys. So if there's one thing San Jose State gets right, it's their uniforms. And we started off with a short little catch, but a play after that, we're going to be able to beat the press press on 27, and this is how you open up a game. We had him beat by 10 yards. If we're that much faster than him, I think we're going to have a great time in this one. And this time they're playing a little bit more off, but we also have the takeoff ability, so we know that we can continue to run straight by him. I can't believe it. We have back-to-back touchdowns. I think this is the best way a game has started so far. And are we going to be able to go for the three-peat? I don't think so, but maybe the corners that they're sticking on us are just that terrible, because it's never felt as easy as it does right now. Like, we basically just ended the game in 3 plays. Maybe this is where they're going to get their stop though, or we're going to score our 4th touchdown in a row. They actually threw it down here. I didn't realize that was a pass. And that means the streak has been ruined, but we should still close this out. I mean, if we blow it from here after everything I said, that would just be embarrassing. I have routed them up on 3rd and 20. And as long as this half ends 28-3, it will be over, though we're gonna have to take this drag and make something out of nothing. I went for the hurdle too. Colorado State is getting no respect from me, and they shouldn't be. They gave up 3 big touchdowns. We've had other games that have started like this though, and then everything's changed, so we can't get too excited, at least until we reach the back of the end zone on this drive. I mean, I feel it coming, especially if they're going to come back out pressing. We need to get our release up a little bit more, and that would be great. I know we've started to save up some skill points recently. That might actually be the best purchase that we could make. And I think you all have seen enough. I'll see you at the end of the game. We might have a chance to get one more touchdown as well, so we should probably try and take that. But as you can see, not much has changed about the score throughout the 3rd and 4th quarter. And I've been content with San Jose State just consistently running the football. We were able to get through a lot of clock, which was important for sealing our win. And to have 5 touchdowns on just 12 catches is pretty impressive. We got this message from our academic advisor though that we didn't do well on our test. Maybe study next time, just a thought. Okay, not exactly what you want to receive with just a few weeks left in the year. And it makes me think that I might have to actually start pouring energy into studying so we don't fail our final test. It's all good though. We have finally cracked the top 25. And guess what? In that same week, Boise State lost, so we're a lock for the conference championship as long as we don't lose another game. I feel like the Mountain West is extremely unbalanced this year. You have like 3 or 4 good teams and everyone else is terrible. But at least I have some upgrades to look forward to. We have 9 skill points to spend. I could make our catching better, and I could also increase takeoff up to silver. But I'm kind of tempted to increase our route running instead of catching, and that's what I did. With 90 release, I really don't see how a New Mexico corner could stop us. And with that in mind, we're just going to expect to go for like 400 receiving yards and at least 6 touchdowns. The only way that won't happen is if it's just a blowout straight from the start. We would have had a touchdown on the first play. But instead, we got hit with a block in the back penalty. Calvin Johnson II said if he can't get the yards, then no one on this team can. This is a perfect mismatch for us. But aggressive catches just don't work that well. And I know I ran near that ball. I know I ran near the ball. But I promise to you all, I did not call for it there. I was trying to run a crosser route. You know what, though? We're going for another aggressive catch. Come on. Maybe increasing route running wasn't all that important. I mean, if they run zone, it's not going to make a difference. And if they're in man-to-man coverage, we were already going to beat them either way. Who got this one? After a couple plays and not seeing the ball, I'm just going to route up those 2 corners for an easy tutty. And I'm really not sure what they expected to happen. It was honestly too easy, and they have their star cornerback on me for this play, but we're going for the head top. You know, I'm starting to think we just aren't that great at aggressive catches. But New Mexico isn't scoring either. We all should know that was going to jinx it, though. They were able to score their first touchdown. And I don't think we're going to get many highlight plays out of this game, though that route was so clean, and 17 thinks he's about to catch us, but his angle's not good enough. We needed a moment like that after we've struggled for most of this start. And it is kind of crazy that 100 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns is considered struggling. I think if I switch the catching style up and I went with possession catches instead of aggressive ones, we could get some of those big plays to actually work out for us. And so that's what I'm gonna do right here. I'm gonna call for it, and we're just gonna go with the secure catch. Maybe if I wanted to make plays like that though, I should have gone with a physical build receiver. They have the 50-50 ability, and those guys always catch the 50-50 balls. I'm pretty sure Calvin Johnson II's archetype is deep threat, so he's not gonna have those same opportunities. But what we can do is go for his 3rd touchdown of the game, and we're short. I'm actually happy I'm getting taken off the field though, because that made getting into the end zone so much easier. With 30 seconds left in the half, That's the same route that worked for a touchdown earlier on, and they fell for it again. That's probably going to be my specialty. That's why I wanted to increase our release in deep route running though, because you can see it's made a massive difference for us, and that's got to be better. Just like last week, we've kind of stopped focusing on the pass in the second half, but we keep having to go back to it every single time that running the ball doesn't go as well. This is how I manage the third and fourth quarters whenever we're in these blowout situations, and this is so much better than what happened against Texas and Stanford. By the end of the game, we would win this one 31-7. Again, not much action in the second half, but that's a good thing whenever you take care of business in the first. With these being our two last games, we really don't have much to worry about, but I just can't help and think of how lucky we are to not have to face UNLV or Boise State. We literally got the easiest conference schedule in the world, but we didn't get to make the trip down to Hawaii. Instead, they came up to us. It is considered a rivalry for San Jose State though, so maybe there's some nerves out there, and we cannot be having that come playoff time. We're gonna use a player as a pick to get open off of the drag route, but we would have had to slip off of some dudes and get super wet if we wanted to get by everybody. Maybe on this next play we can split the defense. It's another overthrow, and I know recently Emmett Brown has been a little bit better about not turning it over as much, but I'm gonna need him to figure out his accuracy, and right there we could have had it. The one thing Hawaii should know they can't do though is press. That is what they've decided on, and we can't hang on. We're getting taken off the field for that, but it's all good. We'll just make up for it on the next drive as we've immediately beaten this kid off the line, and 36 pretty chunky for being a corner. He didn't stand a chance the second that we decided we were just gonna run to the crib, and I bet we can do it again. Back-to-back touchdowns. What did I say? It wasn't a good throw. It does look like he has learned his lesson though. We're gonna run a comeback route. I haven't run any of those in this video yet. We almost got out of there. And a simple corner route to the corner, the end zone, should get us the touchdown. Apparently that ball was knocked out though, so we'll just do it a second time. And do not tell me that we're about to get clamped up here. I will run it 3 times in a row. I have learned I cannot do a slant in that situation. We'll just throw an interception. So that was the only place to call for the ball, and you're gonna see they're pressing us after scoring a touchdown. After feeling like they might have had a slight chance, they came out and decided to press the best receiver in the country. I hate to break it to Hawaii, but if they continue to do that with this same cornerback, you're going to get the exact same result. I said he was not fast enough to keep up with Calvin Johnson II, so we might as well start going for some records. I know we have 31 points in the first half, but this is the first play of the next drive. It's the same look that we have been getting. And off of one deflection, this kid probably thinks that he is now the best corner ever. We'll see if that additional confidence helps him out or not. I mean, he could have had a pick. And I'm just hoping to start the second half the right way so we don't have to worry about the rest of it. Sure enough, though, it's another missed pass. And I'd prefer if when Emmett Brown does that, it goes to nobody. It's just frustrating because I know we could have ended it on the last possession. Instead, we're going to do it right here. I mean, he never learned his lesson. And it's time to get into our final regular season game. We always go for like one more touchdown, which I'm gonna do with a zig route. But of course, when I try to run something different, it doesn't work out for us. And this is why you don't do slants in the red zone. I will give the zig route one more chance, or I'll just go to the open space. And this is just gonna be another rivalry win for us. It was the battle for the Dick Tomey Legacy Trophy. And do I qualify as a casual if I have no idea who that is? Do you know what stands between us and staying undefeated in conference play though? A team that only has one win. And all Wyoming is looking to do in this game is just spoil the amazing year that we've had. Am I going to let that happen? Preferably not. First play of the game is going to get us past midfield, but we will see how good this corner is that they're sticking on me. If he's outrunning us at certain moments, he is already way better than what we faced last week, though that was put right where it needed to be. I really believe that Emmett Brown has just gotten better. I mean, he is pre-firing some great reads, and he's also hitting some open targets while not throwing it to me unless I'm open. There are still moments where me and him don't hook up too well, but I'm sure that will come over time as we turn the corner. And this is actually a great spot for Hurry to get open. That's who we normally throw to in that situation. That was definitely a missed opportunity for a touchdown though. On 3rd and goal, we get in where it came on the ground, and that's something we haven't done much. It's been a while since somebody has given us a competitive game though, and Wyoming's doing it. They were also able to score. They've been able to stop us a little bit better than anybody else, and we're about to punt the football back to them. What they did with it, absolutely nothing. It is is still 7-7. But I think this is one of the best, if not the best, cornerbacks that I have faced all season, which is why it's a good thing we still have some skill points to spend, because we have some upgrades to make. If we could get to this throw, that would be a crazy dot. I didn't even know where the ball was at first. I just knew that he threw it way sooner than he probably should have. And anytime a team runs a lot of zone coverage, I'm going to mix that route into the route tree as well. I really don't want to talk about this. I haven't had a play where I've called for it in such a bad spot in a long time, but if there was any that was as bad as that one in this video before that, I would be surprised. There is no way to explain what I just did right there. All I can do is make up for it on our next possession, and they're not going to catch us. That's a great way to respond. It's 14-7. We still have a lead, and we are dealing with some wear and tear effects, but I don't really mind them because they all have to do with catching. What I do mind, though, is the fact that they just got a safety, and by halftime, we should have probably been trailing. This is not the sign of a national champion, but we will see how we do once we get to the playoffs, at least assuming we make it there. I would like to think that we'd win the conference championship, which looks like it's going to be against UNLV, but we haven't played them yet this season. What a way to end the first half. And we needed a moment like that. It was getting a bit too close. With almost 300 receiving yards in the first half as well, we might be going for a 600-yard game. But Emmett Brown needs to lob that ball up in the air if we're going to be able to do so. I'm pretty sure for these last few matchups, I have done nothing besides run like 30-40 yard routes, but we're able to get away with it. We're playing against a lot weaker opponents, and there it is. We have finally hit a deep post again above the safeties. I've been waiting to run to the other side of the field for weeks. It's just easier to put away a game whenever they're begging you to pass it deep. And anytime they come out pressing like this, that's exactly what I think they're doing, which means we're about to go up 35-10-9. One thing I've noticed though is we've yet to get 500 receiving yards in a game. And if we can pull this off for a touchdown, we're going to have our first game over 500 receiving yards. Is it realistic? No. Is it fun? Yes. I needed at least one matchup where we just went for the most insane stat line possible. And unfortunately for Wyoming, it was always going to have to come against a 1-10 team. I don't know why they pressed at the end. They gave us more yards than I really cared to take. And it's like they're still begging us to do it more and more, which makes no sense at all. Just accept the fact that you've lost. By now, though, you've probably guessed it. I have a new total I want to hit. I want to hit 600 receiving yards, and we just pulled that off, but then we got the ball back again. I want this game to be over. It would finally end at 63-23. We beat them by 40, and we had 640 receiving yards with 8 touchdowns. I know I had to have set any receiving record possible for someone in a game, but I'm still going to go through walkthroughs. I want to make sure I'm hanging out with the team. And because I focused on studying, I got straight A's, so we're not going to be ineligible for our final games of the year. This is still just such an absurd stat line to look at, and it looks like we're facing number 18 UNLV in the Mountain West Championship. By now, it would be impossible for us to not have the Heisman locked up, but I'm not going to look at our season stats until after the Mountain West Championship. And it looks like the Rebels finally lost, but they had the tiebreaker against Boise State. Before we play it, I think it is important that we spend some of our skill points. We have 11 available, and I just want to make our catching a little bit better. We have 94, and we could also increase some of these abilities or bump up our route running or catching again, but I think I'm going to hold off for now. What we have at the moment should be good enough to beat UNLV, and then once we're in the playoffs, we can start to worry about some other stuff. It is good to know that we get to host this game. They're already getting a blitz in, but I think we thrive in these second and long situations, and that's what we have done right here as Calvin Johnson II is gone. All it took was 2 plays to score, and I feel bad for the Rebels offense at the moment because they are not having much success. They actually have negative yards at the moment. Man-to-man is an atrocious idea, but because we ran to the same spot as another one of our teammates, we weren't able to bring that one in. Also, what was the point of upgrading our catching if we're going to drop that? Now things are all tied up at the end of the first quarter, but we'll take a slant, and it's a pretty rare play call for us to get the wide receiver screen, but whenever we have an opportunity to do it, I enjoy it. I know I've thrown picks on those before, so I'm terrified of it happening. Of course, now they get an interception as I'm talking about one, and this is what Emmett Brown does in big games. No matter how good we get ourselves, we're still going to have to deal with those terrible throws. And just the fact that that ball was not dropped is fully incredible. We got some filthy route running going on at the moment, though. I would have loved to have another chance. And put me in ISO out here. See what happens whenever we can just cut to the outside. I really don't like being down at the 5-yard line, but there's a zig route for a touchdown, and we're having a fight to get a playoff spot. With how this game started, I wasn't sure if they would, but UNLV's coming heavy, and their entire defense is shifting around based off of where I am starting my first route. but I could just tell they weren't good enough. If they have this single high coverage, I will always be open. But that did not work out for us, and right here, I just got clamped. I think that flag is going to bail us out, though. We are so fortunate that the ref is on our side. This very easily could have been a 2-possession game at the half where we're the ones losing. But instead, I think we can take a lead. We just need to make sure we move the chains first. We still have 35 seconds to get in. I knew at some point I would have to beat the press. But Emmett Brown either thinks we're a little bit faster or a little bit taller. He has still been giving us a lot of out-of-reach passes. But it's okay. We ended the third quarter the right way, and they pushed me into beating the press. What a beautiful decision from them. We're about to be up by 10 points. Here's a pro tip. If somebody is outrunning you, you do not want to push them farther in that direction. It's going to ruin your momentum, and now we're about to get back-to-back touchdowns. See, if we can have moments like that and like this, we're going to be just fine in the playoffs, even if our defense gives up a lot of points. We are dancing almost all the way in. And that is 3 times in a row now. Where was that in the first half? We needed it. It's like UNLV just decided to come out and let us do whatever we wanted. It was about time that we caught one of those jump balls. Give me another one. Give me another one. Okay, I don't really want to talk about that. It wasn't good. But I don't care. It's going to be almost impossible for them to come back against us. Terrible, terrible route. You know what, though? I think it's all going to work out for us. They just had terrible second half coverage, and there should have never been any doubt we weren't winning the conference championship. It actually turned out to be the second game we have with over 500 receiving yards, but this is not the only trophy I want to take home. I can only assume that we're going to bring home basically any award out there, including the Heisman Trophy, so we'll add that to our case. And I don't think I realized how crazy our stats really got. Almost 5,000 receiving yards, 61 touchdowns. I mean, Emmett Brown's quarterback stats also had to look incredible besides the interceptions. And it turns out that we were so good, we even get a first-round bye in the playoffs. If other teams had better years, though, we could have missed it, which is pretty crazy. And with the 10 skill points I have available to spend, I think we have to go with takeoff, get that up to the gold tier at least, and then we should also get improved dive catches. Why not? This is basically going to be our final build going into the final few games of the season. I feel like we got our catching and route running stats high enough. And I feel like whether or not we have success really comes down to how our defense plays and also how many interceptions Emmett Brown throws, because we know he's going to have quite a few turnovers. I have waited a while to bring out the black jerseys again, but this might be what we need. And I like that we started this game with a defensive stop and a catch. I feel like once we're in the playoffs, we're going to need to score on like every drive. But I was not expecting a drop there with how high our catch rating is. It is now 3rd and 3, and I'm going to run a curl route, which should get us the first down. But I almost turned it into a comeback route because I couldn't tell if they were in man or zone. That right there is mistake number 1 out of Emmett Brown. Right here, I could have had it, but he decided to throw to a different teammate, so we're just going to have to hope for the best. Not a great start only getting 3, but at least they only got a field goal as well. And here at midfield, I want to try and beat Wisconsin deep the same way that we've been beating teams in our conference deep, but I just don't think it works out the same. And is that against us? I have never seen an offensive pass interference. I feel like it always goes against the defense in this game, but I think somebody has a big play because we just scored a touchdown. I couldn't even see it on my side of the screen, but who would have thought? Maybe I'm not even the number 1 wide receiver on our team, which I'm gonna have to take back immediately because I'm about to put us up by 14. Well, we asked to get off to a good start, and I think it's safe to say that we have now, especially bringing in that catch as well. And we're also gonna take a check down. I'm just seeing smart play after smart play for our offense, but I won't lie, going for it on 4th and 1 is a little bit risky unless this works. There it is, another first down, a chance for us to beat the press, which we did, and it's gonna be on target. I figured that Emmett Brown would just overthrow us or something, but it turns out we might just be the better team. We have a 50-50 ball chance that we bring in, and we could end this first half up 31-3 because they keep on pressing. Maybe these corners aren't much better than the ones we faced in the Mountain West. Or maybe Wisconsin just isn't that good. I mean, they did finally score on offense, finally getting their first touchdown, but it took giving up 31 points for them to do that. And with 25 seconds left in the half, we are still flying down the field as we could reach the end zone. This would be insane to score 38 points in the first half, but I think we could make it happen right there. And the flag is against Wisconsin, but I gotta know if the clock stopped. It turns out that it didn't. So what I did was use our final timeout, and that's okay. We've been aggressive all half, and it has paid off. And I feel like we could just start this second half with another touchdown, which would really put things away. I don't know why they keep on coming out this aggressively. I think there's just certain teams where this is their defensive scheme, and if we get matched up against them, I'm going to feel great because we made our guy fast enough, strong enough, and also good enough at route running to where he'll always win. And isn't it fun when you have a player that's so good, he makes Heisman look like freshman difficulty? I mean, he just did the same thing 3 times in a row. It's weird how in the first half, this was not there as often as it is right now. It's probably because they're trying to be aggressive and come back. But what I'm trying to do is just get us on to the next round. I want Calvin Johnson II to be pulled from the game. This is a 46-point blowout, and 21 has pressed us on every play in the second half. I genuinely don't know if this kid is okay. He has come out and done it again. There's no way that we do this 6 times in a row. I actually messed up the route here. That's on me. I think we would have had him too, but it's best if we just run out the rest of the clock now. For me, it felt like it dragged on forever, but we won by 50. And I think we just had our best game against one of the best teams we've ever faced. Texas was up there, but we beat them, and then Stanford was just my own fault. But I'm pretty sure they did make the playoffs, and Georgia, the #1 team in the country, is our next opponent. On the other side of the bracket, though, you are going to see Stanford, who lost to Penn State. And I almost think we should be saving up our final 5 skill points just in case we get 9 so we can get platinum takeoff. I mean, gold takeoff already made a huge difference in the last game, and platinum would be even better than that. But we have to get past Georgia first, and if anybody were to beat us, it would be them. I literally never win a championship in these one-off player road to glory videos. I want it so bad. But you know what the issue always comes back to being? It normally ends up being my fault. Right here, we have a star player versus a star player. This is actually going to be a hard matchup for us in this game, or I thought it was going to be until we just snuck right by him for our first touchdown. And Calvin Johnson II's playing better than he has all year. I'm afraid that scoring fast against Georgia might not work though, unless number 7 just isn't fast enough to keep up with our takeoff and release abilities, because that's what worked against Wisconsin. I mean, Georgia's another team that's just going to press us to death, but I feel like we are beating them off of the line when we want to. And our defense got us the ball near the red zone, which is great. There's my first mistake. I did something other than run a deep route, and they just get a turnover instantly. I hope you all know that on this drive, I am doing what I know best. Nothing else other than that, because we are not losing. If we've already been fortunate enough for our defense to not just get 1 stop, but 2 stops versus the Bulldogs, we have to take advantage of it because those interceptions are going to come. I don't know how much longer we can keep this up for. Apparently, we just stopped them on our 3rd straight drive. And here we go. 2nd and inches right here. Cover 2 look, but they're going to be able to get over to it. That wasn't my best call for the ball ever, but I think I had them beat deep right there. And even against Georgia, I've let us mix in the run for a few plays. It just hasn't gone for much. Apparently, we just got down to the 11-yard line though, and if I am able to take advantage of that open space, we're getting another tutty. All right, at the moment, Bulldogs fans are shocked because we're up by 14. But they're going to get even more shocked when they realize that they just turned it over on the 25-yard line, and we could go up 28-7. This might actually be it. I might win it all. It is a shame that they were able to score before the end of the first half, but I have never had a receiver this good. I think whenever I did the perfect wide receiver video, we had like Louisiana Monroe, and the kid was only 5'7" or 5'8". I made him like a Tavon Austin 2.0. And then even for my full road to glory wide receiver series, once I maxed out the former 1-star, he was nowhere near this good. Calvin Johnson II is just the best one I've had so far. I didn't call for the ball there though. What a terrible way to end the first half. We could have been going up 35-14. And instead, normally I would just play to protect our lead from this point, but I have learned from previous games you have to keep on scoring. Especially if our defense started the 3rd quarter with another stop, we can keep this up. I really don't know how they're doing it at an 80 overall, but what I do know is we had what it takes to beat them. And even if it's not there, I will continue to call for it because it's what's worked for most of the game. I am starting to notice though that like if we don't pick up this 3rd down, that's a fast 3 and out. That would be a major problem if Georgia was not still getting clamped up. And what a route from Calvin Johnson II. They have their best defensive back on their team on him, and they still can't stop him. I think it's safe to say we're on to the championship. At least unless we make a huge mistake in these final 4 minutes, but that's not going to happen. I really think once we got the takeoff ability, combined with having this good of a release, that was just what made us so hard to stop. I mean, unless I've just gotten that much better over the course of the season, which is also possible, we were not going to come out and do something like this the way that we started the year. Even with that missed throw too, we're going to be up 24. And I still cannot believe that we just manhandled the Bulldogs the way that we did. We are 1 game away from taking home that trophy. And of the 2 teams it could have been against, I think we got the right one. In a 32-31 win, UCF took down Penn State. And they're trying to win their first real national championship while we're trying to get San Jose State there first. We also have 10 skill skill points to spend, and I'm not going to put it into anything besides the takeoff platinum ability. And what that means is if I still can't beat the Knights, then this is all on me. I think Emmett Brown could throw for 3 or 4 interceptions, and we would still have no excuses. Because from what I saw against Wisconsin and Georgia, it is just too easy. Now, I will say, until we go up by like 21 points, they don't really start pressing, so this is when we have to play at our best. But if we can find ourselves up by a good amount, that is when we can really start to run away with things. Until then, Emmett Brown's gonna have to deliver. And he did, but UCF responded. Now they're coming out pressing. You know that we're going for that release. Why would you do that? If they watched any film at all, they would know how to stop us. Stick 3 dudes on Calvin Johnson II and send a prayer. I guess one thing I would really like to see in college football 26 is the defensive AI adjusting whenever they see stuff like that. Because I feel like after getting beat deep for a touchdown a couple of times, you wouldn't press. At least it's not every play yet for them, but I am going to have to go for an aggressive one. And we are still dominating. This is over the middle though, can be risky. If there was going to be an interception, it would come near the end zone. But I have learned to stay away from the middle. If it's man-to-man coverage, just cut to the outside, and that can also work on the other end. In a perfect world, this would be the final drive of the half, which is why I want to catch this one short and just let some time go off the clock as we continue to do that. There is no reason to give the Knights any chance at feeling hope. And now by the time we score, we would be fine. That could have been intercepted though. I'm not sure why no one made a play on the ball. And I'll take the flag. I can see that we're going to have an instant access to the 2-yard line. Do I still believe in the run in this situation? I'm trying to. And there it is, the perfect way to end the first half. Now they're going to come out in the second half, playing more aggressively, and I don't think it matters who we faced. We're going to do this to anyone. I actually think the most impressive thing we did this season was beat Texas before we upgraded Calvin Johnson II to all of this. I mean, back then we had to work for those points, and now all we have to do is just spam and run straight off of the snap because we have the best release stat in the game. 97 speed also helps, though they almost caught us. And I'm just glad that I was finally able to make something like this happen. In my first year using a player, we won a championship. So basically, this is what would happen if the #1 5-star receiver committed to San Jose State. Just kidding. There is no shot that we are ever going to see any receiving stats anywhere near as crazy as this, even quarterback stats, but Georgia missed out on a really good one. And if you made it to the end of this video, but you're not subscribed, I'd really appreciate if you go ahead and subscribe and check out some of my other videos.